Shalom, brothers and sisters, and welcome to another Sabbath class. I hope you all can hear us crystal clear. All right. Over a year ago, we did a lesson that got us suspended from Justin TV. Okay, this particular lesson did not have any profanity in it. It was non-abrasive. It was detailed history. And I think the most alarming part about it, what got us suspended off of Justin TV, is that it was so informative on the lowest level that even the base of historians would understand exactly why we're in this condition today and what are the plans of the powers who control the earth. And it was simple, easy to be understood. And I said it once we did the lesson that, they might just take this down altogether. It was identifying the synagogue of Satan. All right? Without, abrasively talking down on someone or calling them names. What we did, we went into history to show the track record of the powers and the Jewish powers who are ruling in the earth today. So, it leads us to a lesson we are about to do called the war. All right? What we will attempt to do is to show you the beginning of this war according to the Bible and show you how this impending war would actually lead to the deliverance of God's people. Now, it's called the war, and when we look at the news and see all these pretexts for so-called war, be it terrorists or terrorist activity or anything they're saying, you will find out that those things are really a smoke screen. It's a total mirage hiding the real attack that's in the earth against God's people. Okay, there's nobody in the earth looking to blow someone up because you're dealing with a different religion. There's no one doing any terrorist activity or anything like that. That's all government planned as a pretext so that you can't focus on what they're doing and what they have always been doing to the elect and those who could see. There's two types of people in this earth. There's people who care and understand and who will fight. Those are they that the powers of this earth are very afraid of. Then you have the rest, which is the 90%. The government powers have no fear of the 90% because these people are easily controlled. They have no knowledge and don't care to know. And they are in too much fear to even think about the war that's against them. So therefore, the government propaganda has worked fine and great on the 90%. So they're not looking to focus on the masses. They're looking for that small percentage who can understand and perceive and put things together to show the masses. We believe, according to the Most High, that we were born in this day and time to bring forth this particular information. Now, the Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. So in order for us to understand this impending war that we've always been in, we must go into history. Let's go to Ecclesiastes in the Bible, the first chapter. And I'm going to say this, brothers and sisters. Once we go through this lesson, be prepared to download this lesson and hold it. And if anything happens where they cancel us or take this down or whatever the case is, you can upload it to your personal YouTube account to make as many videos as you can to put it out. If you have to put it out on CD and give it to others, do so. but we're going to draw a line from the beginning up until the pending war. We're going to use history. We're going to use the Bible. We'll use the book of Jasher. Okay? And we'll also use modern day history and events to paint a picture so you'll understand exactly where we are according to prophecy and how soon the Lord will return according to prophecy, when the time of his coming. Let's go to Ecclesiastes and read the first chapter, and let's start at the 9th verse. Read it.
Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 9. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done.
The things that have been is that what shall be. And the things that were done is those things that shall be done. Read.
And there is no new thing under the sun.
The Bible tells us that there's no new thing under the sun, which means things really don't change that much. People don't change that much from generation to generation. They would make you believe that the Bible was ancient times and we can't think like that anymore and so many things have changed. They're lying. They have dealt with the psychosis or the psychological profile of man, and they realize that people have always been the same regardless of age or time since the beginning. Read.
Verse 10. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see this is new?
Is there anything that we could say, see, this is new? So the things that the governments are doing in the earth today are the things the governments have always done. The people's reaction to government have always been the same reactions. That's why they perpetually do the same thing over and over again. If the people start realizing and understand that something is corrupt or wrong, they start blowing things up so that people can go into fear and rally behind the government. It's the same thing over and over. The patriotism game. It's the same thing over and over. And there's a people behind it. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you how the powers, the satanic powers, play on our ignorance, focusing on the 90%. They play on our ignorance, but they also play on the fact that we understand to some degree and believe the Bible. We all understand that in the Bible, in the last days, it's prophesied that all nations are going to come up against the children of Israel. Now, I'm going to deal with that in the Bible, but I'm going to show you how the churches and the powers that be deceitfully use this information. They know that all the nations, according to the Bible at the end, will come against God's people, Israel. But I'm going to show you how they know that. This is the piece they don't teach you in the church. But this is how the powers deceive the people. They made everyone in the earth believe that they were the Jews or the Israelites, so that they can be protected by default at the very end while they are attacking everyone else. Now think about that. That's diabolical, but it's very smart. If the Bible says that all nations are going to come up against Israel at the very end and that God will protect them, then if they can say that they are Israel instead of being Romans, they'll be protected by all governments of the earth as well as the religious institutions. So there's a shield or protection around them that you can't attack them because of who everyone thinks they are. Oh, what deception. While they are executing the wars and financing the wars, they have an automatic protection in place that will stop the people from attacking the attackers. Yeah. But really, the people who are the fulfillment of the prophecy are being attacked, and no one is protecting them. No one is protecting the real Israel that all the nations are coming up against to destroy. I sat back this morning, I thought about this, and I said, you know what? Through the Spirit of the Most High this Sabbath, I'm going to go into this every way I know how. And I hope that through the Spirit of the Most High, this speak to brothers and sisters' heart all around the earth to understand what time we're in. regardless of what you feel, regardless of what you think. Today we will give you information that's beneficial for your life. And the information we will give you will help you prepare for the time to come. That's the whole point of this. We don't ask anything in return but for you to understand and prepare. Let's go back to the beginning. Because this war didn't start with nations. This war started in the belly of a black woman named Rebecca. It started in the belly of a sister named Rebecca. Let's go back to Genesis, the 25th chapter. And let me make this clear. I'm not here race baiting. I'm just telling you the truth. Okay? This pending war is racial. It have always been racial. It's just that what side of the race you're going to stand on. You're going to stand on the side, the race of Christ, or you're going to stand on the side of the race that was trying to kill Christ at his birth. Because that's what it was. It was genocide when they was looking to racially destroy the king of Israel. That was racial. It was racial when the Hamites wanted to destroy Moses and kill them all in fear that the king would come through the loins of Jacob. You think that's changed? There's nothing new under the sun. They're looking to destroy Jacob today and mass genocide. That's really the plan. But if you don't know history, you will be on the wrong side of history. Now, I'm going back to the beginning with this struggle in the womb. And I'm going to show you beyond any shadow of a doubt that that same struggle happens today. We're going to give you the history of Jacob and Esau. And we're going to show you how Jacob operates. And we're going to show you how Esau operates. That's the war. That's the war. All right? Now, the problem is you have shields on both sides. You have those of Esau who would come through and work with the children of Israel and work with Christ's people to help protect them in that time of trouble. And you have some who would come and infiltrate to destroy in that time of trouble. And you have that on both sides. Even Jacob. You have Jacob who will sell their own brother out for this system. That happens in this earth. You have Jacob say, well, listen, don't worry about the Bible. Don't look at the Bible. But let me tell you, all the other nations are just players in the game. But when it's prophetic and comes to worldwide domination, there's really a war between two. Just two. Jacob and Esau. Let's go to Genesis 25.
Genesis chapter 25, verse 20. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padan Aram, the sister of Laban, the Syrian. And Isaac entreated the Most High for his wife, because she was barren. And the Most High was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived.
So what happened here is Isaac prayed to the Most High because regardless of how many tries, they were trying to have a child and couldn't. She was barren. So Isaac prayed to the Most High, and Rebekah became pregnant. Read.
Verse 22. And the children struggled together within her.
They fought in the woman's womb. What were they fighting for? They were fighting for dominion and rulership in the woman's womb. Read.
And she said, if it be so, why am I thus?
So if I'm blessed to have a child when I couldn't, why am I going through these unorthodox, these serious pains? Read.
And she went to inquire of the Most High.
So she went to pray to the Most High to get some spiritual answer. Read.
Verse 23. And the Most High said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb.
And the Most High told her, there's 2 separate nationalities within you. Now, this is the first time this have ever happened in history in which you would have two different distinct DNA strands, two distinct nationalities, and one that comes from one black woman and one black man. That was unheard of, to have a separate nationality in the same womb. But that's what happened here. So the Most High says, listen, you got two children in your womb that's fighting against each other. They're two distinct nationalities. Read.
And two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels.
Two distinct people shall be separated from birth. That means these children will not be able to coexist without fighting. Read.
And the one people shall be stronger than the other people.
You would have one people who would be physically stronger than the other people. Okay? And see, and that's why they came up with all these, what you would call social engineering and medicines and pharmacy and vaccinations to break down the stronger gene pool. That's a war tactic. If they know these people are physically strong and they can't take these people physically, then they would have to break them down genetically. That's what this thing is all about, brothers and sisters. It's that same war that I'm reading about, and I'm going to prove it. Read.
And the elder shall serve the younger.
And it was meant that the firstborn that would come out would actually serve the younger brother. So now, let's sit back. Let's not rush this. Let's just think about this for a second. For the first time, a child that comes out first would not be heir to his father's inheritance. Now think about that. He would not be heir to his father's dominion. So you got two children struggling to come out first because, you know, whoever comes out first gets the promises of Abraham. But the Most High did two things that he never did before. He put two separate nations in one womb, and he also made sure that the first one that come out would not be the promised son. All that fighting, you get out first, and you are not the promised seed. And see, and that's why in this society today, you notice in their institutions, they try to downplay the Bible, have you question the Bible, and try to say that the Bible, you don't know who really wrote the Bible is tampered with. This is why they're putting those things out there. You have some people who's in charge of these institutions who have a problem with God giving the promise to the second born, to the one that came out second. Now, if he would have come out and been the promise, then of course, there would be nothing wrong with the Bible right now. It would be the perfect book. Read.
Verse 24. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, the twins were in her womb, and the first came out red.
Now the first, when it says the first came out red, the first is the child that would not get the promise. So the first came out red. Now this is the first, another first. There's a lot of firsts happening in this chapter here. That's why you have to sit back and really examine this chapter. There's a lot of firsts in this chapter. When it says that the first came out red, and they call his name what?
And the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau.
So he was red from head to toe, which means he had a lack of melanin. Another first in this earth, in which a person can be identified entirely different than every other person who was born before that time. Now, that's why it describes Esau and not describe the color of Jacob, because Jacob came out looking like everyone else. So here it is, Esau would have a distinction that would separate him from the rest of the races in the earth that were people of color at that time. Read.
verse 26. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel.
And it says, after that came his brother out. Now you notice it did not describe Jacob. Why? Because Jacob looked like everyone else. But it shows something distinct again. That Jacob took hold of Esau's heel. So this was prophetic according to this particular event. You would have to go to 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter in the Apocrypha, 8 and 9, to understand what this struggle was about. Why did Jacob take hold of Esau's heel? Read 2nd Ezra 6, the 8th verse, and the 9th verse.
2nd Ezra.
And then we're going back, okay? All right, thank you. Go ahead.
2nd Ezra, chapter 6, verse 8. And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau.
What we read in Genesis 25, why did he grab Esau's heel? Read.
For Esau is the end of the world.
Because the head is the top and the feet is the end. So he grabbed his heel to show you that Esau is the end of the world. What is this showing? That the Edomites would be ruling at the end of the world. Now, that identifies who Esau is in the earth. Because Esau would have the power to rule the earth at the very end. Esau is the end of the world. And what comes after Esau?
And Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth.
And Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Then Christ brings the kingdom for Israel, and Jacob gets the promises, proving to you that Esau would be ruling right before the coming of Christ. And who can get around that? There's no way around that. If you understand prophecy, you know who Esau is in the earth. Esau is the end of the world. So if you want to find out who is Esau, look who's ruling at the end of the world, because we know Jacob is coming. Once Christ comes, he's bringing Jacob's kingdom, and that will be without separation. No sooner as Esau fall, Jacob will receive the promises. It's that simple. Now that's if you believe the Bible. Now, if the European powers that are ruling the earth are not Esau, where is he? Where is Esau? Because there's no place in the Bible that says Japheth is going to take God's people in the cargo slave ships. All right? There's no place in the Bible that says Ham and the other nations are going to be ruling over Israel in the last days. Okay? Now in Psalms 83, it identifies all the nations who would be over Israel. Because don't forget, there's a prophecy of all the nations together at the very end fighting against Jacob. And we're going to go into that. But who's at the helm of this fight against Jacob? Esau is. That's why we're dubbing this and naming this the war. And we're going to handle this. We're going to take our time with it and break down every piece of this prophecy leading up into this war with Iran. We're going to try to make sure not one stone be uncovered with this lesson. Let's show you some attributes of Jacob and Esau. And I'm going through a lot of these that you've seen before because they erased it and canceled us off of Justin TV once we broke it down. If we break down every part of it, then they can't escape. The powers of this earth cannot escape and cannot escape being identified as the nemesis of God's people. Finish reading in Genesis 25.
Genesis chapter 25, verse 26. And after that came his brother out.
Go ahead.
And his hand took hold on Esau's heel. And his name was called Jacob.
And his name was called Jacob, which means Ya'iqua. Now the Most High called him Ya'iqua because he would need to be Ya'iqua, a supplanter, to actually get the promises that was told to Rebekah. He would need to supplant his brother. You notice after he received the blessings and he received the birthright, the Most High changed his name. But religion and Christianity would want to always remember Jacob as the supplanter. He had to become the supplanter. He had to be born the supplanter because he came out second. In order for him to fulfill the prophecy of the second being the firstborn, he would need to supplant his brother Esau. It was prophetic before they were born. How do you know that? Hold that and go to Romans 9 and 11.
Romans chapter 9, verse 11.
Romans 9 and 11. Read it.
For the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil.
So you can't say it's anything Jacob or Esau did because, number one, the promises was given to Rebekah. She was told what was going to happen with the two children when they were in the womb, fighting, before they were born. Read that again.
For the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil.
So before they did any good or evil, read.
That the purpose of the Most High, according to election, might stand.
It was the purpose of the Most High, read.
Not of works.
Not of works.
But of him that calleth.
But it was the Most High that calleth. Read.
It was said unto her.
It was said unto Rebekah before the children was born, before they did anything. Read.
The elder shall serve the younger.
It was told to this woman that the elder child would serve the younger child. That didn't happen yet in the earth. But it will happen according to prophecy. Read.
As it is written.
As it is what?
As it is written.
As it is written. You cannot take the ink off of these pages. As it is written what?
Jacob have I loved.
Jacob did the Most High love because he understood that his son would come through Jacob from the beginning. He knew that his son would not come from Esau or Ishmael or any other nation. He knew that the Savior was coming through Jacob. Jacob have I loved, read.
But Esau have I hated.
Why did he hate Esau? He hated Esau because Esau sought to go after God's people. And I'm going to prove that. He also hated Esau because of Esau's attributes to sin against the law purposely and to go against the will of the Most High. Now you do have Edomites who don't follow that will like Cornelius and who would follow truthfully in spirit and in truth. And then you have the rest. Go back to Genesis 25.
Genesis chapter 25, verse 27.
Go ahead.
And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter.
He was a what?
And Esau was a cunning hunter.
Here is the attributes of the two separate nations. Esau became a cunning hunter. That's one attribute that you know the powers that be today, the Caucasoid or the European powers have. Okay, they can hunt. They go into a middle of a park someplace or go into a middle of a farm or some type of wooded area. Who would know to make something to call ducks that sounds just like a duck? Who would do that? Or throw deer pee on them, a female deer pee, so a male buck can come near you. Who would do that? That's not a normal thing that people say, you know what, I'm going to take some deer pee and throw over me so that I can get a male buck to come near me to shoot. Also, their weaponry is superior above all nations. That's the reason why they're ruling. Because that was their blessing. Their blessing is that they would live through blood and live through the sword. I'm going to prove that. If it wasn't for their weaponry, the other nations would have been took them down with no problem. Okay? Because they're not physically stronger than everyone else. They don't outnumber everyone else. They're the smallest amongst all the nations. But they have superior weaponry. He was a cunning what?
Cunning hunter.
A cunning hunter. See, these are attributes that are actually handed down to the children. Read.
A man of the field.
A man of the field.
And Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents.
And Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. Listen, Jacob chilled at home. He wasn't all out there playing, jumping out of trees and shooting stuff and all. He wasn't dealing like that. Okay? But Esau liked that rush, that adrenaline rush, being all out in the woods and with nature and running around and jumping on animals and all that and crocodile wrestling. And no, Jacob wasn't operating like that. Okay? So here is the attributes of Jacob and Esau. Now listen, I'm not being facetious, I'm not being funny, I'm just telling you like it is, because you have some people out there all over the earth that's trying to overt the prophecies or trying to say that what we're teaching is not correct. And by default, people have actually taken their vision or eyes off of the people who are really being attacked in this earth. We have to bring this around full circle, and we're going to use history to do it. Let's go into, and we're going to use the Bible. I hope you Christians out there, because you can give this to your Christian pastor. Let's get the one in Hebrews. Finish reading. Finish reading, because there's something I want to bring out of Genesis first.
Genesis chapter 25, verse 28.
Go ahead.
And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison.
Isaac loved Esau because Esau is the one that brought the meat home. He brought the food home. Read.
But Rebekah loved Jacob.
Why did Rebekah love Jacob, the mother? Because she was told before the children was born which child would be the one to protect, which child would actually be the chosen and heir of the promises. Read.
Verse 29. And Jacob sowed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint.
Go ahead.
And Esau said to Jacob, Feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage.
And it says that red pottage because there was blood and uncooked meat in the pottage. That's what made it red, blood. So he said, feed me with that same red pottage. That's rare meat. Now we know according to the law, according to the Bible, it's against the law to eat meat with blood in it. You must cook the blood out of it because the blood holds the soul. The blood holds the soul. The blood is the soul of man. So you must cook the blood out. But if you are in what you would call a hunter or a warrior's mentality, you eat the blood to take the spirit of the animal you kill. Or eat like carnivores, like cannibalism, so you can it's like give you some type of strength and power that you're eating blood and taking the spirit of creation. Jacob wasn't going out like that. Esau was eating the rare meat. Now listen, that ain't none of my business. If you got some meat you paid for, you can eat it any way you want. I'm not judging that. What I'm saying is according to the law, you're supposed to cook it well. Okay? And Esau said, feed me with that red pottage. Listen, I want that thing with blood in it. Read.
For I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom.
His name was called Edom. Edom means red. Now let me show you some of the deceptions of the Masoretes, which are the Jewish powers and the Jewish scribes who wanted to deceive the people into believing that they were Jacob instead of Esau. When you look at the Hebrew word Edom, it's Adawam. That's 4 Hebrew letters. When they got our records, they inscribed Edom or Idawam for Ruddy, for David and other people in the scripture so that you can believe that Esau was Jacob. But we can see right here in Genesis 25 that Jacob and Edom are 2 separate nations. Also, Idawam sounds close in Hebrew to Adam, which is Adam. But Adam have 3 Hebrew letters, and Adawam have 4 Hebrew letters. But they know the average layman is not going to pick that up. So they made people believe that Adam was Edom or a red man by taking out one letter in certain places or adding one letter in certain places when it came to Adam's name in certain places in the Bible. Total deception. That's why it's important to know that Hebrew. How can Adam be Edom when Edom came down the line and was born out of Jacob? Impossible. See, and that's how we can break down the deception of the Masoretes, who would try to use ruddy as an excuse to say, well, listen, it say David was ruddy, so he must have been red. Ruddy leads to Edom. But how can Edom be Jacob? Impossible. I just wanted to inject that for those who run into those guys who would like to say, look at this ruddy, red. Jacob was not red. Jacob was not ruddy. Esau was. All right? So that's how you break that down. And the Bibles tell you that them using the pen, the scribes will use their pen in vain. That's Ezekiel. Jeremiah 8 and 8. Thank you. Read.
Genesis chapter 25, verse 31.
Go ahead.
And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright.
So Jacob said, listen, sell me your birthright. You want to eat? You want to live? Give me your birthright. So he was supplanting Esau. And of course, Esau had a choice here. He could have said, well, you know what? Nah, I value the birthright that I came out first. The birthright I fought. I fought you in the womb for. What did Esau say?
Verse 32. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die.
He said, I'm about to die anyway. No faith. Read.
And what profit shall this birthright do to me?
What profit will this birthright do to me? So he had no faith in the Most High. Read.
And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he sware unto him. And he sold his birthright unto Jacob.
And he sold his birthright to Jacob. Read.
Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink.
So Jacob actually accomplished his part of the agreement. So what did Jacob do wrong? He gave Esau exactly what Esau asked for. So how can Esau come back later and say, well, I was tricked? And see, and that's what the churches are teaching. They try to make you think Jacob was the bad one. Jacob was the evil one. Now, let's go into Hebrews real quick. Hold Genesis and go into Hebrews. Read.
Hebrews chapter 12, verse 15.
Go ahead.
Looking diligently, lest any man fail of the grace of the Most High.
Looking diligently, so that none of us can fall from the grace of the Most High. We must keep our eyes on the prize. Read.
Lest any root of bitterness springing up trouble you.
So this is what can turn us away from the Most High. If bitterness sprang up in us. So Esau, something happened to Esau that turned him all the way to Satan. What happens first? A bitter spirit comes up when you started feeling a certain type of way about another person. That bitterness spring in, and that's when Satan come and say, okay, I'll take care of you. No one understand you, but I'll be here for you. It's that bitterness. Read.
And thereby many be defiled.
And that's how people are defiled, by becoming bitter. Read.
Verse 16. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau.
And that's why it says he hated Esau. Because Esau was a fornicator, and Esau also. Read it.
Or profane person as Esau.
And he was profane, and he teaches that. They push pornography. They push all types of wicked, evil acts and say it's okay. They push homosexuality and say that it's okay, it's the right. They push fornication and say it's all right. Because bitterness sprang up in them. Now, instead of them following the law, they're going to be the adversary of the law in the earth. Read.
Who for one morsel of meat.
And for one morsel of meat, he did what?
Sold his birthright.
Sold his birthright for a piece of meat. That's the New Testament there. Why? Because he became bitter. When he realized what his brother received, he got very, very, very upset. And it led on a course that would fight his own brother. And he put that course within his children and had his children continue the course in secret societies to fight against Jacob in the future. This is what this is really talking about, brother. The Illuminati and the Masons and all that are the children of Esau. They're at the helm or at the height of all secret societies. The Club of Rome, the Bilderbergs, all these people are Romans. The governments of Europe, the governments that are in Israel today, all these are Romans continuing the war that started in the black woman's womb. Now I'm going to bring this all the way around to the war that we're about to go into today. How this thing link in. And you think it's about this country or that country. No. They understand that Esau is the beginning of the world. And Esau is the end of the world. And Jacob is the beginning of it that followed. So these nations know that Jacob is about to rise. That's what these things is about right now. That's what all these wars are about. You know, they got to get all the power they can and all the weaponry and manpower they can to come against us before Christ returns. I'm going to prove this. Let's go back into Genesis and let's get. I'm not going to go into the blessing, but I'm going to show you what Esau promised to do after Jacob not only received the birthright, but also the blessing. In a nutshell, when you read Genesis 26 and 27 chapter, it lets you know that the mother dressed up Jacob like Esau to trick his father in his old age into giving Jacob the blessing at the very end. So now, by default, Jacob now received the promises that he told Rebekah he would give the second born. Esau was infuriated. He was entirely upset. He says, first you got my blessing, my birthright. Now I don't have a blessing. And he cried before his father, Isaac, and said, listen, is there anything you can give me? Anything? What did Isaac say he would give Esau?
And Isaac said unto, Genesis chapter 27, verse 32.
Genesis 27 and 32, read.
And Isaac his father said unto him, Who art thou?
Who art thou? Read.
And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau.
So Esau came with some venison after Jacob already received the blessing. So now Isaac couldn't see, and he said, man, who are you? He says, man, I'm Esau. I'm coming back to get my blessing. Now Isaac is like, man, Jacob, he's rightfully named Yaquah. Read.
Verse 33. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly and said, Who? Where is he that hath taken venison and brought it me? And I have eaten of all before thou camest.
Go ahead.
And have blessed him. Yea, and he shall be blessed.
He says, I blessed him, and believe me, whoever I just talked to will be blessed. That was his brother Jacob. Read.
Verse 34. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry.
He was upset.
And said unto his father, Bless me, even me also, O my father. And he said, Thy brother came with subtlety, and hath taken away thy blessing.
He says, your brother came in total subtlety. He was subtle, but he got your blessing. That's what Jacob means, Yaquah, to supplant. Read.
And he said, Is he not rightly named Jacob?
Is he not rightly named Jacob? Read.
For he hath supplanted me these 2 times.
And Esau said, he got me twice. Read.
He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing.
Go ahead.
And he said, Hast thou not reserved a blessing for me?
He said, Father, do you have at least one blessing for me? And don't forget, Isaac loved Esau. His firstborn, he used to go out and do the hunting and get the food for him. He loved Esau. So Esau is crying, saying, Dad, is there anything for me? Read.
Verse 37. And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father?
He says, can you give us one blessing? Read.
Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth.
Thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. Now listen to this clearly. Go ahead.
And of the dew of heaven from above.
And the dew of heaven from above, to show you that they will be living in high habitation. High habitation. That's the mountains. Read.
Verse 40. And by thy sword shalt thou live.
How shalt thou live?
And by thy sword shalt thou live.
You will get everything belonging